This video is about solving proportions. So remember when we solve a proportion that we need to cross multiply. So let's look at a few review problems. Round to the nearest hundredth if needed. So in the first one, we cross multiply. We have 2x times 60 equals 10 times 24. So we get 120x equals 240. Divide by 120 on both sides, so we get x equals 2. In number 2, when I cross multiply, I have 5 times 2x plus 1. So I'm going to put parentheses around it so I remember to distribute. So we have 5 times 2x plus 1 equals, I'm going to do 3 times x minus 4. So 3 parentheses x minus 4. We have to distribute into our parentheses, so we have 10x plus 5 equals 3x minus 12. So we can subtract 3x from both sides. We get 7x plus 5 equals negative 12. Subtract 5 from both sides. 7x equals negative 17. So when we divide by 7, we get x equals negative 17 over 7, which as a decimal would be equal to negative 2.43. Number 3, when I cross multiply, I have 3 times 3x minus 12 equals 9 times x minus 4. So when we distribute, we get 9x minus 36 equals 9x minus 36. When we subtract 9x from both sides, the x's cancel out and we're left with negative 36 equals negative 36. Remember, when those numbers are equal to each other, we say this is infinitely many solutions. In number 4, when I cross multiply, I have 3 times 2x, or 2z, equals 2 parentheses 3z minus 3. So when I distribute, I get 6z equals 6z minus 6. I can subtract 6z from both sides, which means the z's cancel out. 0 equals negative 6. That's not a true statement, so when this happens, that is a no solution. Now let's try some more complicated ones. So when we multiply here, we have 2m times m equals 18 times 20. So 2m times m gets us 2m squared equals 360. So to solve this, we're going to need to use radicals. So what we're going to do here is we're going to divide both sides by 2. We get m squared equals 180. So remember, to get m by itself, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So m equals plus or minus the square root of 180. And 180 is not a perfect square, so we need to break that down. So 180 breaks down to 18 and 10, 2 and 9, 10 breaks to 2 and 5, 9 breaks to 3 and 3. So we have a pair of 3's and a pair of 2's. So those multiply together outside. 3 times 2 is 6, and there's a 5 left over in the square root. Number 6, when I cross multiply, I have x plus 5 times x minus 5 equals 3 times 25. So we get x squared when I distribute minus 5x plus 5x minus 25 equals 75. The x's cancel out, so we have x squared minus 25 equals 75. We can add 25 to both sides, so x squared equals 100. Take the square root of both sides, so x equals plus or minus the square root of 100, which is 10. So we have x equals plus or minus 10. Now let's try some problems where we are going to need to factor and then use ZPP, which is zero product property. So in number 7, when we cross multiply, we have y plus 2 times y plus 2 equals 24 times 6. So when I distribute, y squared plus 2y plus 2y plus 4 equals 144. So I have y squared plus 4y plus 4 equals 144. So I'm going to have to move the 144 to the other side by subtracting. So I get y squared plus 4y minus 140 equals 0. So I need two numbers that multiply to negative 140 and add to 4, which are 14 and negative 10. So we have y plus 14 and y minus 10 equals 0. So to solve for y, remember we're going to switch our signs, which means y is equal to negative 14 and y is equal to 10. Number 8, when I cross multiply, I have x plus 5 times x plus 23 equals 4 times 10. So when we start to distribute, we get x squared plus 23x plus 5x plus 115 equals 40. So we can subtract 40 from both sides. So we get x squared plus 28x plus 75 equals 0. So we need two numbers that multiply to 75 and add to 28. So those numbers are going to be 3 and 25. So we have x plus 3 times x plus 25 equals 0. Switch our signs, we get x is negative 3 and x is negative 25. Number 9, when we cross multiply, we get x plus 6 times x minus 1 equals 2 times 4. So I distribute, I get x squared minus 1x plus 6x minus 6 equals 8. I can subtract the 8 over, so we get x squared plus 5x minus 14 equals 0. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 14 and add to 5. So those numbers are negative 2 and 7. So we have x minus 2 and x plus 7 equals 0. Remember, we have to switch our signs. So x is 2 and x is negative 7. In number 10, we would have w plus 4 times w minus 3 equals 3 times 6. So we get w squared minus 3w plus 4w minus 12 equals 18. So we can subtract the 18 from both sides. W squared plus w minus 30 equals 0. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 30 and add to 1. Those numbers are going to be 6 and 5. So we have w plus 6 and w minus 5 equals 0. So switch our signs. W is negative 6 and w is 5. Sometimes when we do this, we're going to have to take out a GCF first. So in number 11, when I cross multiply, I have y times y plus 2 equals 8 times y. So we get y squared plus 2y equals 8y. We can move the 8y to the other side by subtracting. So we get y squared minus 6y equals 0. So both of them have a y in common. So y is the GCF, which means we're left with y and 6 on the inside. So when I set these equal, I get y equals 0 and y minus 6 equals 0. Switch my sign, so y is 6. So we have two solutions here of 0 and 6. Number 12, when I cross multiply, we have x plus 2 times 2x plus 14 equals 8 times x plus 5. So when we distribute, we get 2x squared plus 14x plus 4x plus 28 equals 8x plus 40. So I can combine my like terms. 2x squared plus 18x plus 28 equals 8x plus 40. We can subtract 8x and 40 from both sides, so we get 2x squared plus 10x minus 12 equals 0. Now, to pull out a GCF here, every number is divisible by 2, so we're going to put 2 out front. X squared plus 5x minus 6 equals 0. So we need two numbers that multiply negative 6 and add to 5. So that's going to be 6 and negative 1. So we have 2 times x plus 6 times x minus 1 equals 0. We're going to ignore the 2 because it doesn't have an x with it, so our solutions are x equals negative 6 and x equals 1.